Hi world, it's 5th of April 2018, it's about midday 30 UK time. Moon's in the middle of Sagittarius, Mercury is still retrograde and will be for another 10 days. It's biting all over the place. 10 days time, folks. No, this is the horoscope of Justin Trudeau. Seeing as I'm doing a lot of world leaders at the moment, and a few of you have asked me, I thought, well, why not? I've not done him before. 25th of December 1971. So that makes him 46 years old at the moment. Born at 9:27 p.m. in Ottawa, Canada. That makes him Capricorn with Virgo rising and the moon in Aries. Now, he has a really interesting chart. Firstly, he was born with Saturn on the midheaven opposite Neptune on the IC, which straight away gives a lack of roots around home, family, foundations, but also the desire to be successful at a public level. It also gives a lot of potential confusion and challenge around the roles of parents. His heritage and ancestry is well known, but he did have an unusual childhood. What's really interesting about his chart, though, is that he has the he does have an exact opposition, 2/3 of 1 degree, from the moon at 17 Aries to Uranus at 17 Libra. Moon opposite Uranus, people. This is someone who's innovative, exciting, different, with words like independence, freedom, and liberty at the top of their agenda. Very futuristic, and Trudeau's attitude towards women, gays, any sort of perceived minority that's not rich, white, and old and male is actually refreshing compared to most world leaders. And he's always going to be on the cutting edge of new developments. He's always going to be pro-new technology, pro-futurism. He's certainly not a traditionalist, even though he's a Capricorn. And he also has a really strong square between his Sun in Capricorn and Pluto in Libra. So there is a side of him which not many people see, which is actually quite dark. Not negative, but dark and psychologically orientated. It's a side of him that if you cross him, you can be sure he will exhibit a degree of ruthlessness, and he will sort of be yes, no, black, white, with no middle ground, if pushed. Now, at the moment, whilst his progressed Sun is healthy, his progressed Moon is at 23 degrees of Sagittarius, and it's now heading towards Capricorn in conjunction with his Sun in some 9 to 10 months' time. So I'm suggesting that the more he gets into the end of this year and the start of next, he may then start making long-term plans for his future in a way that will possibly either consolidate his desire to remain in politics or end it, and with a desire to begin something new while he's still young enough. Over this last year, in this last 12 to 24 months, Pluto in the sky has been squaring his moon and his Uranus, and Neptune has also been squaring his Mercury. And if I had been his astrologer, which I'm not, I would have been saying to him at any time during 2016 and especially 2017, lay low. You're not in a good space. You're not going to find things are working out for you. Stay below the radar screen and don't get too fiery, too feisty. Both of these influences have now passed. Neither Neptune nor Pluto is touching his chart significantly at this time. Neither, for that matter, is Uranus. So for the first time in a long time, he's in a year where there's no large-scale, long-term, major changes beyond the 9-month by 9-month schedule. But starting in early mid-January 2018, running through to mid-late October 2018, Saturn in the sky is sitting on top of Justin Trudeau's Sun. Now, if I were advising him, I'd be saying to him that this is a great time for him to be more behind the scenes, to be weeding, pruning, streamlining, letting go of people, situations and environments that are past their sell-by date and reaching the end of their shelf life. It is not a time of loss, more a time of weeding, pruning and clearing the decks so that when the future comes in, it doesn't have to negotiate old baggage. With Saturn on top of his Sun, as is happening with everybody born from the 24th through to the 28th of December at the moment, this is a time of being selective and working in the background to make sure that the future has a much solid structure to put in place. Certainly those things, people, ideas, situations, choices and opinions that are still in his in position by the time he's into early November will then act as the bedrock for his long-term future. And I do suggest that by November he's going to have made some decisions around his long-term future, which the world will then know about by the early new year. But he's not in a bad place. And what's refreshing with that Moon-Uranus opposition, and also the fact that he's got a reasonably strong square from the Sun to Mars as well, is that this is a go-getter. This is someone who, if he chooses to get out of politics, is going to make his mark in other areas of the world. He's a futurist, he's an accelerationist, and he's someone who seems a genuinely nice guy as long as you tell him the truth and you don't mess with him. And I've big hopes that he's going to continue to be a major shaper of world opinion for many, many years to come. He's a refreshing type of politician, not just because of his youth, but because of his openness and attitude towards the future and his inclusivity, as opposed to the traditionalist, structured bigotedness of the majority of old, tired, boring, worn-out politicians who seem to think they still have a monopoly on world politics. I like Justin Trudeau's horoscope. Regardless of his politics, he seems a nice guy. And I think at this time, compared to their past history anyway, Canada's in quite a good position. Hope so. All right, catch you later. More tomorrow. Bye, world.